D for double game. What is meant by that? Because when you're out of honest defenses, you start playing both sides of the table. On the one hand, we've got John Doe, the supposed innocent third party who just happened to step into this case to block subpoenas, object to motions, and file, well, a number of pleadings, yet somehow knows all of Daniel Robertson's arguments word for word. I'll tell you what I mean by that. On the other hand, we've got Danielle Robertson, who claims and at issue this very moment that she was never served. Also, never connected to these accounts and never involved, yet admits, listen carefully, I don't think I've mentioned this before. It's in her filing ECF 28. She admits she was notified by Google about a subpoena tied directly to this case. So here's the real question, maybe several. If Danielle had no connection to the Cash App or these accounts, and if John Doe supposedly owns the Cash App but says nothing about Google, then how did Google know to contact Danielle? That's the double game. One voice playing two roles, one defense hiding behind two names. And now that they've both left a trail of contradictions, I see it as the mask is slowly slipping. So tonight, we're calling it what it is: a coordinated legal double game. And like any game of double dealing, it's only a matter of time before the players trip over their own untruths. So let's begin. I have questions. I have comments. I have the filings before me. I have looked, and number one, I don't see where John Doe mentions Google. but Danielle does. If they're separate people, why does Danielle admit Google contacted her while Doe stays silent on it? He appeared to quash, and it was quashed, the subpoena to block ink. Danielle asked and was granted to quash the subpoena from Google or to Google, but that she admits in 28, because I haven't read it to you, but I'm going to show you this part, that Google contacted her. How did Google find her if she's not on anything? Her own words. Her own words. And I'll do another search, but there's just something that's here right in front of us. Think about this. Again, Danielle said, let me throw this up. Oh, there's just so much I want to tie together. Danielle claimed that she has no connection, but Google found her anyway. Her own words contradict her claim. I'll tell you which one. She admitted Google notified her, which means they had her contact information tied to the account. Let me show you. And then I'm going to what I'm referring to. Hang on. I'm going to go to her filing in 28 and just show you this part, because I want, this is fair use. This was filed on, you can see it there, May 7th. Okay, it's 36 pages. It's part of 109 pages. Okay, it was called Special Appearance, Motion to Set Aside Default, Motion to Dismiss, Motion to Quash, and Motion for Protective Order. I looked at this again. She mentions this filing in her most recent filing. She refers to a supplement to this motion for protective order. But there were other things as part of this entire filing that I want I want to focus on just this for now. Okay? So let me roll to it and show you what I'm referring to. Under Roman numeral 1, this motion to set aside default, it's right here. The clerk's entry of default must be set aside for good cause shown under Rule 55C. The undersigned was not validly served and had no notice of this proceeding until receiving notice from Google of an unauthorized subpoena. Upon receiving such notice, the undersigned, which was Daniel Robertson, improperly named Jane Doe, undertook efforts to preserve substantial documentation of plaintiff's online conduct, including videos and posts that have since been deleted. I'm just reading this first paragraph. This raises several questions. Had no notice, she said, of this proceeding. That's the case. Until receiving notice from Google of an unauthorized subpoena. Notice. How did she receive notification from Google? How? I only sent, listen carefully, and the receipts have been filed with the court. I've only sent the subpoena copy to Google, and I sent it to the registered agent on file. Listen carefully. I did not show the subpoena. No one knew. Only Google and only the registered agent, and it was sent to Danielle Robertson at that 8 the Green Suite A registered agent in Dover, Delaware. It's here, right here. She said she was contacted, received notice. What kind of notice? That wasn't talked about in these filings. And conveniently, the date wasn't talked about either. When did she receive that notice? I can tell you when Google received it and signed for it. I can tell you when it was received at a registered agent and when it would have been scanned into Danielle Robertson's account, though she says she no longer was connected to a registered agent. They continue to scan documents. So, how did Google know to notify Danielle Robertson? Why is Google not notifying John Doe? Now, wait a minute. That's for block, right? The Cash App. This is fair use commentary. This is my opinion. These are my thoughts. And I'm going through these documents again. In John Doe's 63, in his declaration, okay, this is in the docket. It's public record. But I want you to see this part here. Number 5 in the declaration, John Doe says, I reviewed plaintiff's filing in ECF number 25, where she admits she was informed by defendant Robertson that the account was not hers prior to issuing the subpoenas. There's several things I can say about that, but I want to show you that. Let's go to ECF 25. In it, I say, one of many public statements made by defendant Daniel Robertson regarding avoidance and obfuscation. She says, quote, now for YouTube, we're talking about YouTube, because he's trying to say that I said the Cash App. Here, this is referring to YouTube, but let me just stay on point. Just stay with me. There's so much in this. Now for YouTube, as a creator, you do have to give information, but who says that you have to give your information? It could be someone else over your account. So if that person is pinned, they can say, that's not them. And yeah, because there's different managers and other people that can be over the YouTube account. So yeah, basically, I'm not connected to anything. And everything is put in place, so I'm not going to be found. Trust on that. The only people that can find me, like I said, are the police, and that's through a thorough investigation and peeling layers and actually interviewing people and asking questions to see who is behind the account. The admission in her initial filing, 28, that Google notified her. Google, YouTube, Google, YouTube, which means they had her contact information tied to the account. This is how I see it. I'm looking at these statements. I know who I sent the subpoena to. John Doe has no mention of Google. Danielle says Google notified her. The Cash App owner, should that individual have been the one contacted? But it was Danielle. If John Doe really owns the account, which one is it? He says it's Cash App. Why isn't he the one contacted about the Google subpoena? Or was he? There was no mention. He came to quash the Cash App and then followed by Danielle to quash the Google. But she said she was notified. She learned of this only when Google notified her of the subpoena. Now I'm thinking out loud, but I'm letting you know. It's like the questions that I have. Because she said she wasn't properly served. Danielle's own filings admit she was on notice before she ever filed that motion. You know, on May 7th, I sent the notice, the subpoena, only to two on the same day. They received them with the mail, different time, but I know when they were filed, sent. And I know when a registered agent signed for them and when Google signed for the subpoena too. I just read from 28, Danielle's initial filing, where she admits she was on notice before she ever filed that May 7th. So sometime between January and May, when did Google notify her? It should have been right away. I'm just basing this on because I know I was the one that sent the subpoena. So if this is true, her statement in ECF 28 would destroy her claim of ignorance or lack of service. She knew, but she admitted in 28 that she sat on it and gathered information, videos, posts. She knew that a case had been filed against her. This is D for double game, how I see it. Are they one and the same? Are they different? What is in here that points clearly? There's a smoking gun in here. Danielle's own admission, ECF 28, combined with John Doe's selective silence. And I'm going to go through this again and look. They were both engaged in active litigation. Although they call it special appearance, is how I see it. The court has to see it because ultimately it's the court that makes the decision, not me. But I am speaking and giving commentary on what has been filed, what I'm seeing in these filings. I see contradictions that have exposed something here. I think they're hoping that the court won't connect the dots, but the record already does. Every motion, every contradiction, every new filing makes the pattern clearer. Two names, one agenda, Or is it one person with one agenda? There's something right here in front of us. Because right now, this is what's at issue. One of the things she's claiming she was never served. Yet she admits she was notified by Google about a subpoena tied directly to this case. There's a critical question that follows all this. If John Doe is the Cash App account holder and Danielle claims no connection, and if Danielle is claiming she got notice from Google about a subpoena, but John Doe never mentions Google, then who exactly is the person tied to both accounts? Because the way I'm looking at this, there's a strong suggestion that Daniel and John Doe could be one and the same. Or Danielle is controlling both narratives and both accounts. Something here. I'm going by her own admission and what she's saying in as her defense. She didn't say she received notice of the Google subpoena through John Doe. No. She said through Google. It's like a split defense. If they were separate people, this is a question. All of these are questions. If they were separate people, wouldn't have John Doe contested the Google subpoena too? Again, this feels coordinated. The timing. Here comes John Doe, followed right behind. And then this barrage of filing, counter, back and forth. Danielle said Google contacted her, notified. So that's a question that I would want to know the answer to. When did they contact her? Where's the evidence that they contacted her? How did they contact her? Was it through email? A letter? If they contacted her, they have her contact information, so she can be found. But she says she's not on the account. YouTube, Google is AdSense. Google is YouTube. Things that come through that are tied to truth teller Danny, tied to Danny Robertson, tied to Danny Montana, tied to the platform. These accounts, the platform, monetized platform. She's not on anything. So how did Google know to get in touch with a subpoena? That's a personal, private, direct. It was for the truth teller Danny YouTube account, the YouTube Danny Robertson account. the Danny Montana, all of the platform accounts. How? If she's not on these accounts, who did Google get in touch with? Daniel Robertson signed the bottom of 28. She said she didn't know until Google notified her. That's a hard stop for me. Those questions haven't been asked. And she knew about it and, in her own words, sat on it, waiting just for the right time. So that means she was watching in the background. She was notified. She was waiting. She knew. She knew. This is my opinion. She says it. Wait a minute. Let me show that part again. The undersigned, and I can show you, was not validly served. So she's talking about service, and had no notice of this proceeding. That's the case until receiving notice from Google. When was Google? Was it in January or February? It's all filed. So I'd have to look at the dates. Okay. To be precise, I could look up the date. Okay. I may have said January the 19th. I have to look. Okay. It was well before, it was within the window of when service on the defendant was made. Keep this again in the back of your mind real quick. So Google, and a subpoena went out to Google, and one went out to Daniel Robertson at a registered agent. She's claiming that a registered agent, she has departed and she's not getting anything, right? That she somehow, this is what she's saying, she was notified. She knew about this lawsuit. You don't think she wasn't looking at Pacer? I have no proof, but you don't think? Okay. So I can't be certain, but there's always a digital footprint. Always. So whether it's Pacer or something else, she would have had, if she got a hold, she knew she would be reviewing and watching, like she's watching now, every footstep about the case, what is being filed, when I've been asked to show cause, when the court has said, no, you've got to serve her at that address, and it's got to be with a process server. Because remember the first time I sent it through a registered letter, okay? And Ben signed. So she would have known about that too. Because Google received the subpoena around the same time, I can tell you, when those went out. So she says it right here. Upon receiving such notice, the undersigned undertook efforts to preserve substantial documentation of the plaintiff's online conduct. She was watching and collecting, following the case. I'm going to say allegedly, but she says it right here. Upon receiving such notice from Google of the subpoena of the proceeding, she undertook effort to preserve substantial documentation of plaintiff's online conduct, including videos and posts, she says, that have since been deleted. This was filed on May 7th. So she's sitting back. She could have raised her hand. She knew she had been served. She knew there was a lawsuit. How did Google contact her, and how would they have known to contact her if her name wasn't on the account? I put for Daniel Robertson. It was received, been signed for it. And then it was scanned into Danny Robertson's account, because they continue scanning documents. All of this, I'm going to say allegedly, but it's right here. It just needs to be sorted out. This is why it's pivotal. There's so many things that are unanswered. I know she's watching. That's why this is so important to her. It's documented. It's in her own words, in her filing. Her filing. Let's go to her filing. Jane Doe, named improperly as Daniel Robertson, but later, the very next filing, we would learn that Jane Doe is Daniel Robertson. The undersigned, it's Daniel Robertson. This is fair use commentary. It's public. It's been filed in the court. It's a case. Why didn't John Doe contest the Google subpoena along with the block? Why would there have to be separate people contesting? If it is D for double game. I mean, she said she couldn't be found, yet somehow Google found her. Remember, she said she's not on anything. Listen carefully. She said she couldn't be found. This is what she says, right? It's chess, not checkers. Who gon' check me, boo? That's her mantra. Because a person is anonymous, just because they write this or that, doesn't mean they're telling the truth. She could say, I'm not on anything. But she must be on something, because Google notified her by her own admission. And Google received the subpoena about her, not about some random account. Google received a subpoena subpoena about her accounts. So they have the name and information connected to those accounts that represent her because she received the notification, she says, from Google. You tell me if just on that point, does that make sense? In her own words, she says Google notified her. She didn't know about this proceeding until Google notified her about the subpoena. The subpoena was sent by me to Google and to a registered agent, her registered agent, that 8 the Green Street A in Dover, Delaware. No one else knew about the subpoena but Google and Danielle Robertson through a registered agent. So if she says she didn't receive anything from a registered agent, and she admits that Google contacted her, notified her, she didn't say John Doe notified her. She said Google. Then Google had the information of the name of the person on the account, but here she says, I'm not connected to anything. Something isn't adding up. If she's not connected to anything, but she admits that Google contacted her about the subpoena, something doesn't add up. Something doesn't add up just in that statement. It at least calls into question. Plus, she didn't talk about the date, but she sat on things. So how long did she have notification from Google? Was it in February? Was it in February? She sat on it. That's her words. I can give my commentary and my reaction to just that. I'm not reacting to 109 pages. This is her first filing. I'm looking at this again. She waited just before. Look, watch the play. John Doe comes in. April 25th, his filing gets posted May 6th. The following day, Danielle, as Jane Doe, files this that I show you, 28. It came right after his 27. Coordinated timing. Because somebody knew. Because why? They've been following me. They've been watching my videos. They heard that I was waiting for something. But I didn't say what I was waiting for, but I bet you somebody knew what I was waiting for. Remember, I even asked when I got notified by Block, I was expecting, and the same day that I was expecting, the night before, I got an email. Something was filed. I'm like, what was filed? They wouldn't give me information. Only that they had to wait on a decision from the court. I'm like, but I don't see anything. So they couldn't talk to me any further. Only they didn't talk to me by phone. So it wasn't an email. I responded email. They didn't email me back. They couldn't talk any further. In other words, no more detail, nothing. And then It was one after another. 26, 27, 28. Back and forth. That's why. How do you explain that? Wow. Google found her. But she's not on anything. But Google found her. Somehow they both appear before this court, spinning two stories for one defense. Oh, I'm just going to say D for double game. I see contradictions. I see reasons, gaps, things that need to be filled in. That's why she wants this case dismissed. It is double jeopardy. You can email me at unwinewithteddy@gmail.com. It's 11:25. I think that probably should do it for me for this portion of D for Double Game. Analyze This Mess. I'll have to listen back to this. Again, because it's live, I have like a lot of things that I'm thinking about, especially on this one tonight, by showing, several, from the docket. I've just shown a few things. So going in between them. Yeah. I hope it came together, okay, enough so that you could understand what, the points I was trying to make, what I was trying to connect, and the questions that I was trying to ask. Yeah. Was there a slip up? Yeah. Because you can't say I'm not connected to anything, then admit that you were contacted directly by Google. That because of the lawsuit. That's an admission of connection. That's an admission of connection. That's what it is. All right. There's more I could say. Yeah. I'm going to go back through John Doe's. I've been searching. I don't see where he's talked about the Google subpoena. So, yeah. What do you think? It's time to say goodnight. Biggest bear hugs go out to all the grizzlies and the honey bears. I've been on for an hour and 24, and I've had taken up enough of your time tonight. It's getting late. Thank you again to my moderators. Yes, for hanging in there. I appreciate you and your support. All of you, all my new subscribers, all of my new listeners. Thank you. As you make your way out, please remember to give me a thumbs up. And tomorrow will be Thursday. So keep your bear phones on and join me sometime tomorrow. All right? That will do it for me. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Teddy. Good night.